October 23rd, 2021. Guys, I want to do a video to try to get some information out there and debunk some other information just so that you know. But this is the structure of the Earth, and it's pretty close to scale. Notice how thin the crust is, even the bed of the ocean compared to the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core of the planet. It says the Earth is made up of many rocky layers. The solid outer layer is called the crust. Below the crust lies a layer of very hot, almost solid rock called the mantle. Then you've got the outer core is a liquid mix of iron and nickel. But the inner core is solid metal. Sometimes hot molten rock called magma bursts through the Earth's surface in the form of volcanoes. There's also some gray lines that dive into this outer core, into the mantle, and they are fault zones. Notice if you look at this, you can pause it and take a look. Now, why is this important? It's because there's people that are trying to say that the sun has no effect on volcanoes and earthquakes. We know they do. And what's concerning is some of the major channels that are covering this eruption will almost censor you if you mention it in the comments that solar radiation can affect the core of the planet. Our magnetic fields, this is a really kind of a raw diagram because it's much more complex than this. But they enter the top of the Earth through the North Pole and exit through the South Pole. That's why your compass works. But how does this field operate? The sun's energy causes the center of the Earth, this almost solid metal, to conduct. In other words, we've got solar wind coming in, hitting our shields, and you can see in this diagram, it sends it straight through the core, right? It comes back out the bottom. Then you have induced currents in the yellow circles that are basically ground currents. Now, this is not to scale. Notice in the bottom right diagram, not to scale. That's because the core and the mantle consume a lot more than the Earth's crust. These induced currents, by the way, is how CERN picks up additional energy. Not only that, because the CERN's magnetic field is 100,000 times stronger than Earth's, it will deform our shields. We see it on the magnetosphere. But again, your fluid core coming in here, and so as the sun hits our shields, that heat is transferred into the planet, gets too hot, we start seeing the volcanoes, which is kind of a constant release. But guys, this is what's going on, and the people that try to tell you that it's not, they're really full of it, and they need to quit doing what they're doing. These are drone images, guys. An amazing amount of lava coming out. This is daytime. Check this out. This is coming from an underground lava tube. I don't know how far up the mountain it goes, or if it's just coming out at this section. In other words, we're seeing more and more vents opening other than just what we're seeing out of the 4 that are exploding now at the top. So, and another thing about the magma that's coming out very low that I noticed, it does not have any rocks. Excuse that's not my camera. But it does not have the rocks in the cooling sections like some of these other ones do. This thing is solid hot, very liquid, very flowing at these bottom vents. But again, you can see the ash, the amount of coverage, and this bottom section right there, look how hot that is. Almost no debris in it. It's telling me it's coming from deeper, and it is very hot. These are images that's just below that mountain before it turns. Now, these are images from drones also, but from the backside of the mountain. Very interesting here. You can see all the way down the valleys into the Atlantic Ocean there. But you've got 4 vents, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you watch the front one where the lava pool is to the far right, you can see all 4 are erupting now. Now, the drone's going to pull in here and do a close-up of this vent that's on the left. It's kind of interesting the way this thing is setting up. But check this out. You've got, again, 4 vents at the top. We don't know how many are coming out the side, but we've seen smoke coming out of this section that's the mountain. And as this zooms in, there's a couple of very good and interesting images here. Look at the depth of the new ash. And the trees are buried up to about that point. You can tell that this is not part of an older explosion. And so you've got a lot of ash that's going to have to be dealt with, and a lot of lava downstream. A couple of towns now are pretty much either encompassed or kind of burnt through as we look at this. But these are the different explosions that we're seeing. The amount of lava, as we look at a couple of other drone images, is amazing. This is near the bottom of the cones, not the bottom of the mountains, and this is very hot. Notice there's no rocks in this, guys, no dark debris, and I think it's coming. It has burst through the bottom of the volcano and out the side simply because the top vents could not hold the pressure, and all four now are firing off. Massive amounts of lava are coming down. We'll look at one image from today in the live images that show you, even though it's obscured by smoke, how much is coming down now. A lot more evacuations going on. People are becoming concerned. Earthquakes, I think yesterday were 130 something earthquakes in the air. Strongest one, I think, a 4.3 or something like that. But looking up this mountain, this is from the bottom side. If you go again to the top side with these drone images, you can see how much of the area is being affected. I think the cone now has risen, if I'm not mistaken, over 200 meters or over 600 feet above the surface of where it was. And again, if you look at some of the lava in the cities like Tazacorte and La Laguna, they're 2 and 3 stories deep. These lava flows are. I'm talking about it's coming up very high, taking out buildings and overriding 2-story homes. But again, very pure lava here, not that much debris in it. This is coming straight up and busting out the bottom of the cones, not the bottom of the mountains. But you can see some houses that were up on the mountains to the right here. They're pretty much covered in a lot of ash, and they're talking about possible rain there for the next couple of days. If so, then this turns to like a liquid concrete, and it absorbs the water, and the weight will cave in the structures that are still standing. They are issuing those warnings now to be very prepared for that. And if on the ground, it can become a mush like concrete and almost impossible to clean after that point. So there's no way they'll get it all cleaned up. But if you were in a home there that is a lot of ash on top, but you're not surrounded like this house in the very center of this image with the orange roof, then you might want to try to get it off before the rain set in to try to save your home. But look at this, guys. Again, almost pure lava coming from this. This is just the one vent. This is not what's coming off the top. Check that out. So as we watch it and try to comprehend this amount of lava, which a lot of people are we looking at larger cracks coming up through the core, through the mantle, and busting through the crust itself? And what did our Father tell us? Not by flood, but by fire this time. Not by flood, but by fire. And what event would cause a massive problem with the tectonic plates, say the Ring of Fire and the volcanoes that are there? What does Christ do when he first comes back, when he steps his foot down? It's the greatest earthquake in the history of mankind, like never has been seen before. Could that be the trigger? Not only the destruction from that quake, but the opening of some of these fault zones that are above these lava fields. It would be very interesting, but again, we do know it will not be by flood this time. Sure, we see floods across the planet. Sure, we see volcanoes now, but when Christ says there has never been an earthquake like what we're about to see when he steps that foot down. Guys, we're watching this. Notice on the left side of this screen, there are 2 very large, basically waterfalls of lava coming down. They're obscured by smoke again. The left, near the middle of the volcano, you can see the lava pretty clearly up high. But right there, when you're getting that glow through the smoke, that's lava. So we've got multiple paths, multiple streams on both sides of the mountain now. Again, pay attention to your weather if you're there. Pay attention to if it starts to rain, make sure you have the areas that needs to be cleaned out of ash, your roof of your house, maybe your driveway or something. Get that done before the rains come in. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.